April 8th, 2013. Didn't sound right. But it is April 8th. Yep. 4/8/13. 40 years ago this week. I think they said it was on the 3rd, so last week. 40 years ago, and when they first came out with the first cell phone, portable cell phone. And I remember my mother talking about, because she worked at AT&T, and she talked about this thing she used to carry in the back of her car because she got a discount on it or let her use it to try it or something. That it was about the size of a bloody boot. About this size. Like, how you doing there, buddy? But I just had to bring that up because it's like 40 years ago. There was a that was, like I said, it was like the civilian version of the military type phone, which you'd see like in World War II movies. You know, they'd pull it out. You know, somebody'd be carrying a big old backpack on it. They'd pull out this big old heavy thing and make field calls. That was the early version of the cell phone, but you know, I finally got to where, you know, they could have them in the car. I remember there's a picture of them, showed them sitting between the, you know, you get these nice fancy sports cars. These people would have these big old Rolodex type phones sitting in between the seats. But yep, come a long ways, baby. I remember right before we moved up in '92, there in Oklahoma City, there in Minneapolis, northeast side. A good friend of ours lived in the same building, lived like a triplex, and there was us on the lower floor. Kevin was the other apartment on the lower floor, and then someone rented the whole top floor. So it was not a duplex, but kind of the owner had split it up into a kind of a triplex type thing. And I was there for a few months. For a few months. But Kevin, one of his good friends, was starting to sell cell phones at that time. He said, it's a big business. It's really big, because he could sell it to these yuppies at the time. And was making really good money. And it was just beginning to catch on. I remember, because one of my requirements before moving up north is that, you know, job security is very important. And at the time, I was delivering for phone books, so a PDC, Product Development Corporation, and they delivered phone books year round. There was two times a year they delivered all of Minneapolis in the summertime in June, and then the opposite in January there, December to January. They delivered all of St. Paul phone books. So there was, in between, there's everybody that moved this big a metro. There was always constantly people moving. So I had a pretty good full-time job working delivering phone books. Started out, you know, I got two checks. They paid for the mileage on what it took to deliver them, and then price per stop. And they finally combined that. In the 90s, there was a lot of downsizing. Companies were cutting a lot of expenses, and became like an independent contractor. So they really started a lot of that stuff, because then they didn't have to. We weren't like a full-time employee, so they didn't really have to pay you a lot of the benefits. And kind of a crappy thing, but hey, work, and you know, I could do something 5 days a week and get check at the end of the week. It was okay. So where was I going with that? Oh, fax. Faxes before computers, and before cell phones, or about the time cell phones were coming out. There was fax. So the work that I would get when we moved up north, the warehouse would fax the work orders that I needed for that day, depending on which town I was going to, and I delivered several towns of phone books. Even up there, I kept busy. I had to do couldn't do like here in the metro constantly every day of the week, but up there I would do. There was like 3 towns we did that lived. It was like 40 miles either way from us, and I'd get the work orders, and then I would do that town, and then the next day do the other town, next day do the other town. So by the 3rd day, by the time we make the next loop in those, I'd have enough done or enough collected in that town to make it worthwhile. Head over there and spend a few hours a day and deliver home books. We did that for, I think it was like 82 or 92, 93, and then 93, 94. It was only like 2 years, and then they found out a way to weed me out. It's one of those situations that there's somebody in the company that don't particularly care for you. You know, at that time I got to know my manager, and that's why I got the job up there, because I said I'm moving up here and I need you to find me work, and he said he could set it up and make it happen, and he did. You know, there was a big semi truck that pulled up next to our property there and unload a couple of crates of phone books, and they'd fax up the work orders, and there you go. Once you got employment, I didn't mind living out in the middle of the sticks. Once that fell through, then you had to figure out what else to do, and that's when we started doing the trading times again. We'd come back into the metro, and I remember we did that old Tana route. I mean, we came up and we went down toward Rochester that one time, and that was a big loop. Paid really well. But 40 years in cell phones, they've come a long ways. And as we know, this is the way of the world. Cell phones. Meet the Comcast. Gordon's wanting to trade in the Samsung for an iPhone, and fight tooth and nail. Like, I don't want. I work with an iPhone all day long. I don't want another one. Boy's got an iPhone. You know, his idea was that we wouldn't have the same phone. He would have his, and we'd have something completely different. And now he doesn't really like that. He thought, well, I mean, it's a good idea because there's things that the iPhones share. And I got an iPhone, I got an iPad, and they all kind of blink together and share things. And it's like, so we'll see if I win that battle. Probably not. I'm a sucker. I give in. I give in too easy. April 8th. Oops, I'm going to leave you with a song. I was trying to think of a song about cell phones, and I was thinking of how big they were. There's like the size of a boot or a shoe, and there's this show, and I looked it up, and it was in the late 60s. Get Smart, Maxwell Smart. He was like a little undercover agent, and kind of bumbling undercover agent. But at the front of the introduction, they had where he'd walk through these different types of doors. They'd open up sideways and open up and spread up in from the small circle to a big circle, and he'd just be walking through. Da, 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 da. But here's the tune. So here's the theme from Maxwell from Get Smart. It was on I think they said 65 to 70, and so 5 years. But if you hear that song, you know exactly what I'm talking about. April 8th, 2013. Get Smart.